What's up, guys? The NFL free agency period is almost upon us. As usual, there will be a handful of teams far more active than the rest of the field, while plenty of clubs will avoid making any major splashes. But all 32 NFL teams have one thing in common. There's at least one free agent out there that would make their club that much better. I'm Jason Biondo, and today we present one free agent every NFL team should sign in the offseason. Don't forget to subscribe to TPS and put on your notifications because we post videos every single day. Every day is a new video, so you should definitely subscribe. It's a really good idea. Please. Arizona Cardinals, Golden Tate. The goal for the Cardinals has to be to build around young quarterback Josh Rosen. Larry Fitzgerald is past his playing prime, and Christian Kirk may not have the tools to be a #1 receiver just yet. Tate is the top wide receiver available in a thin market for pass catchers. His superb route running and hands would supply Rosen with a reliable playmaker. Adding Tate would really help Arizona's young QB reach a new level. Atlanta Falcons, Sheldon Richardson. The Falcons could lose Grady Jarrett in free agency, which means their GM will need to look to find cheap replacements. Sheldon Richardson had a productive year with the Minnesota Vikings, and he'd come cheap on a 1 or 2 year contract. Atlanta's defense is a championship caliber unit. They just need to stay healthy for once. If Jarrett leaves, Richardson would be able to offset the former's departure, and he'd really add some muscle to a rapidly improving front seven. Baltimore Ravens, Jamison Crowder. The Ravens have the league's best defense, a stout offensive line, and a young QB to get excited about in Lamar Jackson. However, the mobile quarterback doesn't have many big-time playmakers to work with, and that has to change. The speedy, crafty, and elusive Jamison Crowder would be a wonderful fit for the offense. Crowder had some big plays with the Washington Redskins, but his skill set fits better in Baltimore's style of offense. Best of all, Crowder wouldn't cost too much money. Throw in the release of Michael Crabtree, and there's no doubting the Ravens have to add another wideout. Crowder should be their most sought-after guy. Buffalo Bills, Devin Funchess. While the Bills have an excellent defensive unit in place and promising quarterback in Josh Allen, but this man will not develop unless the Bills give him some reliable wide receivers. Plain and simple. Devin Funchess will be a good addition to the Buffalo passing game. He was never going to maximize his talents in a run-happy Carolina Panthers offense. He had 63 catches for 840 yards and 8 touchdowns in a breakout 2017 season. If he stays healthy, Funchess can put up some similar numbers in Buffalo. The Bills may as well give Funchess a 1 or 2 year deal and see if he can give this team its first true #1 receiver since Stevie Johnson. Carolina Panthers, Bradley Roby. The Panthers have to upgrade their once great secondary if the playoffs are a goal in 2019. The front office tends to stay away from spending big dollars in free agency, but this Denver Broncos corner might be worth a look. He endured a terrible 2018 season in the Mile High City, but let's not forget what he's accomplished up to this point. The former first-rounder has recorded double-digit passes defended in 4 of his 5 seasons in the league. He could be a huge addition for the Panthers, considering they have to deal with both Matt Ryan and Drew Brees twice a year. Chicago Bears, Jason Verrett. With so much talent on both sides of the ball, the Bears don't need to spend too much money in free agency, but adding another quarterback could do wonders for Matt Nagy's defense, and Jason Verrett might just be the perfect fit. Verrett has only played 5 games since the 2016 season, due to a large amount of injuries. That will surely hurt the value in his free agency, but the Bears would be wise to take a chance on him. If he could stay healthy, he and Kyle Fuller could form the best cornerback duo in the NFL. The Bears don't need to address any specific position, but it would be wise to find a bargain corner like Verrett here. Cincinnati Bengals, Ronald Darby. The Bengals might have more weaknesses than any other team. Not only that, but owner Mike Brown doesn't usually get his team to spend much in free agency. As such, the Bengals will likely do some bargain shopping. The cornerback free agent class is weak, but Ronald Darby might be the best of the bunch here. He'd be a nice add to a defense that finished last in yards and 30th in points allowed. Darby earned a solid 70.6 grade from Pro Football Focus in 2018. The Bengals must rebuild that entire defensive unit, and adding Darby would be a good start. Cleveland Browns, Ndamukong Suh. I actually really like this one. The Browns have most of the pieces in place on offense, but aside from Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett, there's not a whole lot to offer on the defensive side of the ball. The Browns would be wise to go after Ndamukong Suh, who had an excellent season with the Los Angeles Rams. Suh is no longer the elite talent we saw in Detroit, but he remains an effective run stopper and could be a strong leader for a young Cleveland team. Given his age, Suh might not cost that much in the market. The Browns could probably get him at a reasonable deal for 1, 2, or or even 3 years. Having Sue mentor the likes of Ward and Garrett could go a long way. It's absolutely worth it. At least I think so. Dallas Cowboys DeMarcus Lawrence. Many view him as the best free agent on the market. And since DeMarcus Lawrence is such an integral piece of that Dallas front seven, the front office has to do everything they can to keep him. Lawrence racked up 14.5 sacks in 2017, then followed it up with 10.5 sacks in 2018. He's one of the game's elite pass rushers and is just entering his prime. No way they replace him. They have to give him the huge contract. It's that simple. Denver Broncos Rodger SAFFOLD. John Elway traded for Joe Flacco, which takes him out of the Nick Foles sweepstakes. Now he has to upgrade this team's wretched offensive line. Rodger SAFFOLD had a remarkable season for the Los Angeles Rams, and his skills were on full display during the postseason. He's likely pricing himself out of LA, and the Broncos should be going all in for him. The Broncos O-line is undoubtedly their weak link right now. Elway has to fix it however he can, and getting him would be a nice starting point. Detroit Lions Tyrann Mathieu. The Lions decided to cut loose safety Glover Quinn, and head coach Matt Patricia will need to find a replacement quickly. Tyrann Mathieu had a nice season with the Houston Texans. He's younger than Quinn and has been one of the better cover and ball hawking safeties over the past 4 years now. Detroit has a talented defense in place, but they need to fill a gaping hole in that safety position. Mathieu might be the best fit for Patricia's defense. The Lions should not be afraid to overpay him a bit here. Just give him the money and let him do his thing. Green Bay Packers Landon Collins. The Packers know they'll have to be aggressive in free agency, knowing that time is no longer on theirs or Aaron Rodgers' side. A good start would be fixing a leaky secondary that has moved on from HaHa Clinton-Dix. Well, Pro Bowl safety Landon Collins is available, and boy would he ever be a game changer in Wisconsin. Collins is a top 5 safety in the game, and he's only entering his age 25 season. The Packers should not be afraid to give Collins a multi-year deal worth around $12 to $15 million per season. Believe us, he's an elite player. The Packers need this guy. Houston Texans Trent Brown. Deshaun Watson will not stay healthy if the Houston Texans offensive line continues to be this horrible. Watson was sacked a whopping 62 times in his sophomore year, and the Texans must fix this O-line quickly. The good news is New England Patriots offensive tackle Trent Brown is available, and what a pickup he would be. Brown held his own against 3 of the league's top pass rushing units during the postseason. He's going to get paid. He's only entering his age 26 season. The Texans should call his agent, ask Brown to fill in a blank check, and then pay him. Brown would absolutely fix that pathetic pass protection, and Watson would be able to take his game to another level, and then playoffs and potential Super Bowl and yada yada yada, you get it. Indianapolis Colts LaMarcus Joyner. The Colts will have around $100 million in cap space, and they can use that to help complement Darius Leonard, who had one of the most dominant rookie seasons ever. Fixing the secondary would be a nice start. The Colts don't need to overpay for Earl Thomas or Tyrann Mathieu. Rather, LA Rams safety LaMarcus Joyner would be a fine addition. He would come a bit cheaper, and he might fix the defense a bit, so that's a win. The Colts will want to save that cap space down the road, so it makes sense to avoid the elite free agent safeties and settle on a cheaper option like Joyner, especially if they can get him on a 1 or 2 year deal. Jacksonville Jaguars Nick Foles. I 100% agree with this one. This is actually really where I want Foles to end up. I think a lot of people want him to be on the Jaguars. It just seems like the right fit. Alright, let me explain why. The Jaguars have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and a talented running back in Leonard Fournette. For quarterback Blake Bortles unraveled in a make-or-break year, so it's time for the Jaguars to move on. Nick Foles is the best quarterback available, and he could help this team get back into the playoffs right away. The Jaguars have to be all in on Foles, because a good quarterback is all this team needs to get back into Super Bowl contention. If they can nearly make it to the Super Bowl with Bortles, imagine what they could do with Foles. We believe in a 5-year deal worth around $15 million a season. That's pretty good. It's pricey, but Super Bowl MVP quarterbacks never come cheap. The Jaguars have to throw all their money they have on Foles. Of all teams, they're the best fit for the Super Bowl 52 MVP. It's a perfect match, and I don't see why. I feel like it's going to happen, to be honest. We'll see. Kansas City Chiefs Earl Thomas. The Chiefs will obviously work towards keeping pass rushing sensation Dee Ford. We'd be surprised if the deal doesn't get done there. Assuming he stays, the Chiefs can focus on fixing that horrible defense. Earl Thomas, the perennial Pro Bowl safety, would change the dynamic of that secondary completely. Patrick Mahomes may be the next big thing in the NFL, but Kansas City won't win Super Bowls if that defense isn't fixed. That's why we like a 5-year deal here for Thomas, say like $40 to $50 million. It's pricey, and he's now in his 30s, but Thomas has a lot of football left in him, and he'd instantly take that defense to a whole nother level. Los Angeles Rams Glover Quinn. The cat-strapped Rams will have to bid farewell to some of their top free agents. That's including NDAMUKONG, Biondo and LAMARCUS JOYNER. It's critical that they replace the latter, and Glover Quinn would be a nice cheap option. Quinn was released by the Detroit Lions in the offseason, but he remains an above-average safety. The Rams could probably get him on a one-year deal, given his age and Quinn's likely desire to win a championship at this point in his career. So they should make it happen, for sure. Los Angeles Chargers Anthony Barr. A season full of Super Bowl aspirations went to waste in the AFC divisional round, where the New England Patriots picked on the Chargers' ineffective linebackers. The secondary and defensive line are fine units, but the Chargers really ought to upgrade at linebacker. The Minnesota Vikings probably can't afford to keep Anthony Barr, so they expect him to hit the market. And the Chargers could use Barr, who would be a beautiful add to Gus Bradley's defense. Barr is one of the best all-around linebackers in the game. For all the Chargers know, he'd be the last piece needed to make that unit elite, and then win a Super Bowl, and then Rivers can actually have a ring and hold that Lombardi trophy, and then hand it to his 9 kids. 9 kids, that's crazy. Good for him. Congrats on the sex, Philip, my God. Miami Dolphins Ziggy Ansah. The Dolphins will want to rebuild that pass rush under new head coach Brian Flores, who got to work with quite the dominant front seven in New England. When healthy, the former Pro Bowler is one of the NFL's most prolific pass rushers. He is a must-have in South Beach. This guy, paired with Cameron Wake, if he were to stay, he would form one of the NFL's top pass rushing duos. But he won't come cheap. That being said, Miami can get creative to clear cap space and bring him aboard. Minnesota Vikings Trent Brown. Yes, much like the Texans, the Vikings should also be targeting Trent Brown. No doubt that Kirk Cousins was a colossal disappointment in 2018, but most quarterbacks would flop behind Minnie's horrible pass protection. The Vikings need to upgrade the offensive line ASAP, and Trent Brown could be the solution. Brown is renowned for his skills as both a strong pass protector and run blocker. He'd thrive in protecting Cousins and opening up the running lanes for Dalvin Cook. Minnie, go all in for him. This is your moment. Come on, Minnie. It's all you. New England Patriots Dante Fowler Jr. It's always hard to figure out what Bill Belichick is thinking. Sometimes he throws money at established veterans like Stephon Gilmore and Darrelle Revis. Other times he finds guys out of nowhere and turns them into studs. Belichick stands to lose his top pass rusher Trey Flowers in free agency. He's going on the market and they gotta do something about it. Wildly talented but long underachieving Dante Fowler Jr. makes sense as Belichick's next reclamation project. A move from Jacksonville to LA did wonders for Fowler. Don't think that Belichick didn't notice that. He loves picking up ultra-talented players that have yet to hit their full potential. We're calling it now. A one-year deal for Fowler. He gets double-digit sacks and becomes a Pro Bowler under Belichick. That was easy. To the next one. New Orleans Saints CJ Anderson. With Mark Ingram likely leaving in free agency, the Saints will want to find a new running back to complement superstar Alvin Kamara. An established veteran will be on the radar. And why not CJ Anderson? The former 1,000-yard rusher revived his career with the Rams, who beat the Saints in the NFC Championship game. Anderson and Kamara would be an elite running back duo, and the former would be such a nice complement to the 2017 Offensive Rookie of the Year. And how nice would it be to sign away a player that was so instrumental in helping the Rams reach the Super Bowl? Pretty nice. New York Giants Nick Foles. If the G-men want to be bold, they should move on from the past his prime Eli Manning and sign Foles, who would shine in an offense that features Odell Beckham Jr. and Saquon Barkley. That would be nuts. It's not crazy to think the Giants could find a taker for Manning, which would open up the door for them to sign Foles. Philadelphia Eagles fans would hate seeing their Super Bowl hero join the arch rival. But hey, if the G-men have the guts to move on from Manning, they have every reason to go after Foles. New York Jets Le'Veon Bell. Shout out to all the Jets fans that are hoping this will happen. The Jets have few playmakers to complement Sam Darnold, but they do have around $100 million in cap space to work with. The Jets can easily afford to overpay for Bell, who would really ease Darnold's workload. Interestingly, sources told Bleacher Report's Mike Freeman that they think Bell will go to the Jets. One source called it a foregone conclusion. Add up all the pieces and Bell to New York makes perfect sense. They need a running back, and he wants to get paid what he's worth. No team is in a better position to give Bell the workload and cash he deserves than the Jets. Oakland Raiders Frank Clark. Give $100 million man John Gruden credit. He knows how to tank and clear up tens of millions in cap space. The Raiders are in rebuilding mode, very much so. But it doesn't hurt to spend some of that cap space on effective playmakers. And Frank Clark, who is sure to lead the Seattle Seahawks, could do wonders on that defense. Like a fine wine, Clark gets better with age. He had a career-high 13 sacks in 2018 and has registered 9 or more in 3 straight years now. Seems like the kind of guy that Gruden would want to build his own defense around. Philadelphia Eagles Earl Thomas. The Eagles secondary was quite leaky in 2018, and it won't get much better as top cornerback Ronald Darby hits free agency. It'd be wise for Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson to move quickly in adding an impact player, and Earl Thomas fits the bill. Thomas and veteran standout Malcolm Jenkins would do wonders on that defense together, forming perhaps the most potent safety duo in the NFL. Adding a Pro Bowler in Thomas would quickly transform the Philly defense back into the 2017 unit that propelled the team to a Super Bowl championship. Pittsburgh Steelers Mark Ingram. Might make sense to find an established veteran that can complement James Conner, especially if the latter can't avoid injuries. Not only that, but the Steelers' locker room is a mess. While Ingram is renowned for his humble personality and leadership in the locker room, he's the perfect guy to come in and help rebuild the team's culture. Plus, a Conner-Ingram pairing would be quite the dynamic duo at running back. And he'd come cheap. Given his age and mileage, the Steelers never spend much in free agency. So if they're looking for bargains, Ingram's the guy. San Francisco 49ers Le'Veon Bell. Picture this. The 49ers already traded for Antonio Brown. As if he, Jimmy Garoppolo, and George Kittle weren't scary enough on offense, the 49ers go out and sign Pro Bowl running back Le'Veon Bell. Few teams are in position to go all in for Bell like the 49ers, who will have bundles of cap space to use. Reuniting Brown and Bell would do so many wonders, and the sky would be the limit for this offense. Seriously, you'd have the top tight end, the top wide receiver, and a top 3 running back in all of football to complement Jimmy G. San Fran, like what are you waiting for? Seattle Seahawks, Ziggy Ansah. The Seattle defense is going to look a lot different in 2019 with Frank Clark, Earl Thomas, and KJ Wright leaving in free agency. The Seahawks will have a bit of cap space to add an impact player or two, and Ziggy might be the best fit for Pete Carroll's defense. If Seattle can convince him to sign a short-term deal, then perfect. He can reset his value for 2020 free agency. And as for the Seahawks, they'd be getting a nice cheap pass rushing replacement for Clark. The Hawks rarely spend big in free agency, but if Ziggy is keen on going to the Pacific Northwest, then they ought to make it happen. Tampa Bay Buccaneers Grady Jarrett. You think new head coach Bruce Arians will like this defense he's taking over? Not a chance. Reinforcements are necessary. The Buccaneers could use a run-stopping talent like Grady Jarrett, who would do wonders working alongside Gerald McCoy. Tampa is slowly building up a promising front seven, but they need that aforementioned run stopper and pass rusher. Side note, taking Jarrett from the NFC South rival Falcons would be a double whammy. We expect Tampa to be really aggressive in free agency, but Jarrett is the guy that should top their wish list. Tennessee Titans Golden Tate. Corey Davis started coming into his own in 2018, but the Titans still need to find better pass catchers for Marcus Mariota. Again, Golden Tate is the top free agent wideout available. He and Davis would give Mariota 2 ultra-reliable pass-catching threats. They're both home run guys who can come up with the big plays all over the field. We love most of the pieces Tennessee has in place, but Mariota just needs one more big-time wide receiver. That man is Tate. Tennessee, go nuts for him. Have fun. Washington Redskins, Teddy Bridgewater. Both Alex Smith and Colt McCoy suffered season-ending broken legs in 2018. Who knows if either will be healthy and ready for 2019. The Redskins may as well find somebody who they know they can start. Enter Teddy Bridgewater. After Nick Foles, Bridgewater is the best quarterback available in free agency. He hasn't had his chance to start since 2015, but we know the skill set is there. Washington should give Bridgewater a 1 or 2 year deal and see how it works out. If he succeeds, the Redskins have their new franchise QB. If he flops, at least the contract was short. Washington has to protect themselves and ensure there's a reliable quarterback in place, and that's if Smith and McCoy miss 2019. Bridgewater is the ideal short-term option for them, and they should definitely do it. Which NFL free agent do you want your team to sign? Join us in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and Total Pro Sports on social media. We post great content all the time. At least go check out our profile. Go give it a look. See what you think. If you like it, follow us. If you don't like it, then still follow us because we still have good content. So go follow us. Your phone's in your hand. I know it is. Just go do it. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click. One click right down there. One tap. That's all you gotta do. If this is your first time around TPS, make sure to subscribe because we post videos every single day. Every day's new video. Every day. So subscribe. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. And my knee!